Hello, people of Sithcraft, and welcome to a guided video tour of Carson and its cooperatives. As you may know, I am Bane. Let's get started, shall we? Here we stand in one of the most central parts of Carson, and one of the oldest, the potato field. Over here you see an area I designate as Latvian Wet Dream. Now, let us move on towards Carson Plains. Here you see the infamous cube. Resistance is futile, that is all. And now we are entering Carson Plains proper. Here is where almost all agricultural products, such as melons and wheat, are harvested to feed the people of Carson. And here you see the beautiful rolling fields of Carson Plains. Behind you, you see the tomb of Eric Honecker, a deity to some, a voice to all. Let's go visit it, shall we? And here he lies, Eric Honecker, the man with the silk voice. I have to be honest, it really does put my voice to shame. Such a beautiful tomb for a beautiful man. Eric, we will never forget you, even if your time is spent shoving your hand up a cow's ass. Here is the entrance to Carson's rail systems. The rails are very extensive, all of which were dug mostly by Jacinth Joy, also known as the Pumpkin Queen. Through these doors we have the main event, something that I think Carson will become most famous for, the rail system. We have currently connected many cities. That way, past the potato farm, we have Orion and Haven, and on the other hand, are Leo and Osaka. But we'll get over towards there later. Now, to Carson! Here we are in Carson's rail station. I know it seems like we got there pretty quick, but as I learned along the way, rails only can carry you about 8 meters per second. And it was about a 5-minute ride from Carson Plains to here. But enough of mathematics. Let's go up and see the city, shall we? Above us, we see the first completed skyscraper in the whole city, the CIC Tower. The CIC is the organization which handles the building and maintaining of Carson's rail systems. Here we see a person coming out of our public storage area. Let's go down there, shall we? Behind me is our main storage vault, where any Federal Workers Cooperative of Carson member can access and gain access to any amount of materials they may or may not need. This is the more secure factory room that any member of Carson has access to. You are encouraged to donate charcoal or repair factories when it is needed. And over here we have the public factory room, where anyone, even non-members of Carson, can use for free. But you are still encouraged to donate charcoal and repair factories if it is needed. Here we see something that is all too familiar in Carson, an unfinished project. This here is Little Vank's Bank. Now, I really wish it was finished, because it's the first thing you see when you come into Carson. Here we see the Orcram building. Now, Macro, as it's properly pronounced, is a private organization led by Hermit Mabo. Macro was also a company in 1.0 which existed in Rothbard, which was a very beautiful floating city, almost the exact opposite of Carson, for a reason which I will show you now. In front of us, we see the great retaining wall of Carson, which was just recently completed. Carson was dug in a 250 by 250 hole. Construction of the castle took, as I am told, about a month and a half before it was finally completed. Now, as he is known locally, the great socialist hero Ibagi was responsible for much of the digging of the castle, although many other citizens contributed as well. Right in front of us, however, we see the gate to one of Carson's 4 districts. Here we have one of the districts, some of the underground portions of the city where anyone can build a house or business for free. Each district, which extends in all of the cardinal directions, has its own custodian. The custodian for this particular district is Theo, or Mrs. Emery, as you'll see him in-game. The other custodians are Madam Mattress, Baby Cham, and Kyle Sinis, or KSRM, as he's known on Reddit. Each district has its own specific theme, such as business or purely residential, and the custodians can help you learn about what is what. We see Gerg Towers. It has an almost Leningradian look to it, with a sandstone and stone brick to it. And by Leningradian, I mean 1.0 Leningrad. I have no idea what new Leningrad looks like. Over here, we see Stuckenrot's building, which is nearly complete. Construction started only a couple of days ago. Unlike some buildings which have been under construction for a long time, such as Phoenix Towers, which is a twin set of buildings which are notoriously resource-intensive. Behind us, over here, we see the future site of the Carson Museum of Civcraftian History. The museum is being constructed and managed by Theo. We'll have many exhibits, one of which I'm very excited to tell you about. The Emerald Block. It was revealed about a month ago that emerald ore did in fact exist on the server due to a chunk error. Thanks to generous citizen Gordon Freeman, we purchased the emerald ore block from him, and it is now placed inside our museum. This building here is the Carson Architectural Co-op's headquarters. The Architectural Co-op is led by Phoenix Fire, who is notoriously busy with all of his projects. This very blocky building is the Carson Engineers Center, where many red stone monstrosities shall be built. This here is the End Co-op's headquarters, led by Rorik 750. Now the End Co-op mostly handles just grinding pearls and whatnot and collecting endstone. Behind us is another one of the older buildings in Carson, and one of the smallest, but in my opinion, one of the most important. Carson's library and printing press. People can come in here to read their favorite books, or even to write their own. I have one in print, an autobiography of my life here in Civcraft. You should read it. Seriously. You should also check out On the Ancaps and Their Lies by Timmy. Behind you, you see the Gimmick Tower. Now don't let the name fool you. This isn't the launching point of raids on innocent people. The Gimmick Tower is the center for Carson's Defense Co-op, where all equipment and pearls are held. Ahead of you, you see General Gouda's, well, somewhat ugly, very large and affordable housing project. It was styled after New York housing projects, so that's probably why it kind of looks like shit. However, I think it looks just fine, besides looking like shit. Here we see another unfortunately unfinished building of Carson. It's actually on the road to being demolished if it isn't finished soon. I'm actually not even sure what its purpose is. And I live here. Speaking of living here, here is my pride and joy, Bane Broadcast Tower. Ah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Here I will record future episodes of Bane Talks Civcraft. I built the entire thing myself, using perhaps a little too much glowstone. But it looks nice, doesn't it? It even has a state-of-the-art radio transmitter on the top, in the form of a redstone block. This tower right here, while unfinished, will become the tallest tower in Carson. This is the Tower of Mattresses, belonging, of course, to Matter Mattress. Now, believe me when I tell you, the finished version is absolutely beautiful. It is seriously one of the best-looking towers in the city. Right here we see one of the true famous people of Civcraft, T-Jizzle, also known as the Bedrock Dragon. Ah, majestic, isn't he? Quite the beard on him. Now this beautiful structure is Carson's Theatre, where, hopefully, future drama awards shall be hosted. It is currently undergoing renovation and attempting to make it bigger. And here we find the last building on our tour of the Carsole, Swords Tower. No one is really sure what Sword does in this building, but I kind of have to assume it involves socks and dirty magazines. Above you, you see the canals of Carson. Now I know what you're thinking. Canals are usually dug into things, aren't they? Not raised above them. Not so here in Carson. Because we're actually below sea level, we figured it'd be a good idea to put canals at sea level so people traveling by boat can easily get into Carson. Let's go up and see the top, shall we? As you can see, Carson's canals extend in all four cardinal directions, and most towers that are next to them have either some plans for being connected directly to the canals, or already are. Well, that's about it for the Carsole itself. And such a beautiful, big, open hole it is. It's also a little smelly. Behind me, you can see the entrance to one of our other rail lines, this one going towards Eastwood Logging Company and Dorner Island. Let's go visit them, shall we? Here we see the rail station of the Eastwood Logging Company. Now, let's go up and take a look at her, shall we? And here we see the Eastwood Logging Company. As you might be able to tell, its primary export is wood. The whole place is like a fucking tinderbox. Now, Eastwood is responsible for the production of all wood products, which are mostly used to make charcoal. Here you see the beautiful part of Eastwood. Besides being a producer of the thing that drives Carson industry, Eastwood is also just a very beautiful place to be. Here we see the Great Lodge of Eastwood. This site was originally home to a building built by Yabagi, but it was burnt down by griefers. So we decided to build it again, but 5 times bigger. Bigger is always better. The lodge features a complete cobblestone shell, including lava gutters, which help prevent future griefings. As you can tell by the scaffolding that is set up, it is not quite finished, but it is still an impressive sight to behold. Now, let's continue. To Dorner Island! Here we see the entrance to Dorner Island, one of the mightiest co-ops in the land. Now, as you can see, it's authorized personnel only. Thankfully, I am an authorized person. The nether portals you see above you help spawn zombie pigmen, ghasts, and wither skeletons, which we refer to as Dorners. Now here at Dorner Island, we prove on a daily basis that you can, in fact, corner the Dorner. Now, we're not going to be going to the top and showing you exactly what goes on here because it's kind of scary. And it's super duper secret. Dorner Island also features pig, mushroom, and mushroom farms on it. It's a very multi-purpose area. Now, Dorner Island is essentially one gigantic box. It's heavily reinforced, so I don't think anyone can breach this impenetrable fortress of solitude. Well, now that you've seen almost all that there is to be seen in Carson, let's head to our final stop, La Paz Cartel. Tally-ho! Here is the entrance to La Paz Cartel. On the surface, very impressive indeed. As you can see by the construction here, La Paz is heavily reinforced, at least for a farming building. These are the carrot fields, I presume. As you can tell, they are not in use at the moment. La Paz's main exports are carrots, cocoa, and pigs. Yes, tasty, tasty bacon. This here is the cocoa farm. As you can see, this is fully operational, similar to a Death Star. But this isn't a trap. Here we can see the carrot fields from above. The entire top is covered with glass, so the crops can grow, but they are secure from fire and griefers. These are each sectioned off and have a 2-layer thick wall between them to prevent any breaches in security. It took over 500,000 blocks of stone to secure this entire facility. Now, that's a lot of fucking rocks, if I do say so myself. Well, people, it's been fun, but I have to say this is where we end our tour. Now, if you're watching this, Carson is probably public, and you can come and see all of this in all its glory yourself. So please, come visit us. We'll be waiting. Good night, Civcraft.